union bill goes to the Supreme Court, teachers welcome the President's decision. And it was state-of-the-art 50 years ago. How the mighty has fallen. Good evening and welcome. And first this evening to the economy. The Exchequer returns confirm its healthy state with news that tax revenue for the first quarter was up 16%. VAT receipts were also up, going above the 1 billion mark for the first time. Government borrowing was lower than expected, but Finance Minister Ruairi Quinn injected a note of caution. He said that, considering the current health of the economy, we shouldn't really be borrowing at all.
Today's Exchequer returns are good news for the government. So good that the Department of Finance is anxious to downplay their significance. Buoyant consumer spending has pushed VAT receipts over £1 billion, although timing factors do overstate the increase. With more people at work, income tax revenue was up 15%, but tax cuts will slow this down. The government still managed to spend everything it took in. In the first 3 months of the year, the government raised a total of £3,100 million. Spending came in at £3,169 million. So the government's current account was £69 million in the red. That's less than expected. When spending on capital projects is included, the government had to borrow £151 million. That's still £400 million less than this time last year. Despite the good figures, the Minister for Finance isn't revising his estimate that the government will need to borrow £637 million altogether this year. Although Ruairi Quinn now says we shouldn't really be borrowing any money at all. He's also anxious to discourage any idea that there's extra money around.
That is a concern, because people feel that because the situation is now positive, they're in a position that they can look for extra money. The extra money is not there. We have budgeted for a lot of what we are now looking at. There are timing factors that make these figures better than they actually are, but we are still borrowing money to finance the affairs of this economy, and we really should, given the rate of growth that we have at the present time, not be borrowing any money at all.
The returns for the first quarter always contain some distortions, and today the Department of Finance was anxious to emphasise that the figures overstate the health of the nation's finances. Nevertheless, the economy remains buoyant. Good news for the government going into an election, but extra ammunition for any group looking for a greater share of the national cake.
British police say